Microsoft Excel has a feature called a total row, which can be used in conjunction with tables. It aggregates any of the columns within the table, and the aggregations returned are context sensitive. Thus, if you filter the table, the aggregations will update to reflect the currently visible rows only. For this reason, it's quite a popular feature. However, if you connect to an Excel table which has a total row from Power BI, there's a risk that if you aggregate the columns containing the totals, Power BI will include those totals in the aggregations. So when importing Excel tables into Power BI, it's worth considering this and eliminating the possibility of a total row being included in the dataset. Let's look at an example of an Excel table that uses the total row feature. In 04 connecting to Excel data, let's open up number 5, total row. Here we have an Excel table. We can tell it's a table because Table Tools Design is displayed when the selected cell is within the table. And if we move to the bottom of the table, here we can see this feature called a total row. In Table Tools Design, we can see that total row is activated, and we can simply switch it on and off as required. In a more complex table, several columns can be aggregated, and you can specify the type of aggregation that you want for each column. One of the things that makes a total row very useful is that if we filter the table, let's say in this example that we want to display totals purely for the entertaining category. When we filter on the category column, you'll notice that the total updates to reflect the currently visible rows. So it's a very useful feature in the context of Excel. But if we import this table into Power BI, clearly we've got to make sure that if we aggregate the amount, we don't include that total in our aggregation. So let's close the file without saving our changes, and then let's bring it into Power BI. So let's once more open connecting to Excel files.pbix. And let's click the Excel button to connect to the file. Number 5, total row. And here's the table we looked at. It's called expenses. And we'll click on Transform Data. One way of removing the total row is to use the Remove Rows column. We click on Remove Rows, remove top rows, and enter 1 as the number of rows to be removed. However, this will only work if the total row is present. If the total row is not present, we'll end up losing a row of data. So it's not really a very flexible solution. Let's get rid of that step by clicking on the X next to Remove Top Rows. A better solution is to think about filtering out the unwanted row. One way of doing this is to filter out the word total from the first column. We click on the filter arrow, and since we know that total is here, we can simply switch off total. And now we can be confident that A, the total will be filtered out, and B, if there is no total row, we won't lose any data. And let's again click on the X to lose that step. What if there is no total row, but we want to cater for the possibility that there may at some point in the future be a total row activated when the data is imported? When we click on the filter arrow, if the word total isn't here, we can't use these checkboxes. However, we can use text filters. We simply click Text Filters Does Not Equal, and then enter total as the value. And when we click OK, again, we filter out the total. So just bear that in mind. A very useful Excel feature, which from a Power BI perspective has something of a sting in the tail. Since we'll be using our expenses table in our quick practice session in the next video, we won't disable the load. We'll leave it enabled and click on Close and Apply. And our data is now loaded into the data model, and we can see the expenses table displayed in the Fields pane. So in the next session, we'll have a quick practice session and create a mini report using the expenses data. So let's finish by saving our changes.